أشرقت نفسي بنور من فؤادي حينما رددت يا رب العباد وانتشت روحي وصار الدمع يجري يا إلهي خذ بقلبي للرشاد.
It is not allowed for a Muslim female to have intimate relations with a non-Muslim man. The author continues and he states, وإن كان ذلك بعد الدخول فأسلم الكافر منهما في عدتها فهما على نكاحهما وإلا تبين أن النكاح انفسخ منذ اختلف دينهما. Then the author states, they must otherwise face the fact that the marriage was annulled from the moment when the religion differed. So this female, she was as per the Hanbali madhab, she became Muslim, and after this she was waiting the 3 menstrual cycles, the iddah period according to majority of the scholars, which would be 3 menstrual cycles. Husband did not embrace Islam, then they will be separated, and she must know that in reality the date of separation commenced from the day that she became Muslim. The author continues and he states, وما سمى لها وهما كافران فقبضته في كفرهما فلا شيء لها غيره وإن كان حراما وإن لم تقبضه وهو حرام فلها مهر مثلها أو نصفه حيث وجب ذلك. When something had been assigned to her, the author is talking about the mas'ala of the mahr. If the mahr was mentioned and during the period that she was married to Jack, she had taken possession of her mahr while they were still unbelievers, she took possession of it, even though that mahr might have been something which was haram. Maybe, for example, he gave her mahr which was 20 swines. Maybe the mahr was alcohol, and she had already taken it in the past and she drank it or whatever she had done. Then that's all in the past and there's nothing due to her from now. If she had not yet taken possession of the mahr, so the husband still owes her this mahr, Jack still owes her this mahr, then if it is something which is haram, if it was 20 swines which they had agreed upon, etc., then she cannot take that. She's a Muslim and this is haram type of mahr. So what would be done in this case? Then they would equate and work out the equivalent in the currency, and that husband would have to pay her that amount in currency, that which is appropriate. والله تعالى أعلم. فصل. وإن أسلم الحر وتحته إماء فأسلمنا معه وكان في حال اجتماعهما على الإسلام ممن لا يحل له نكاح الإماء انفسخ نكاحهن وإن كان ممن يحل له نكاحهن أمسك منهن من تعفه وفارق سائرهن. Now the author talks about the matter of the slave. If there was a free man, if we have a free man and he became a Muslim, and he has with him female slaves, so maybe he has 4 or 5 slaves. So this Muslim free man became Muslim, this non-Muslim free man became Muslim, and he has these female slaves, and they also accept Islam with him. If the state of their being together in Islam is such that he is someone for whom it is not permissible to marry slaves, then the marriage is annulled. Meaning, he became a Muslim, he is a free man, he has 4 female slaves, they also became Muslim. So now, as we discussed previously, a Muslim free man is not allowed to be married to a Muslim female slave except if 3 conditions are met. He fears zina, he cannot purchase a slave, and number 3, he fears that he cannot purchase a slave, and he does not have enough of wealth which allows him to get married to a free Muslim female. So if these conditions are not met with regards to this individual, then he will have to be separated from these Muslim slaves because he has not satisfied those conditions. If the state of their being together in Islam is such that he is someone for whom it is not permissible to marry female slaves, he does not meet the criteria, then the marriage is annulled. But if he is someone for whom it is permissible, he cannot afford, etc., he fears zina, etc., then he could keep and he can remain and he can have as many slaves as required, as suitable for him, and you should separate from the rest. That amount of slaves that he requires in terms of him protecting his chastity, that amount would be allowed for him to keep, and more than that would not be allowed. Why? Because his is a case of darura, his is a case of need, and we only apply the darura and the need up to the point that you need. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. And with that, the author moves on to the next chapter, which is Bab Ash-Shurut fi Nikah, the chapter pertaining to the stipulations, conditions which are included in the nikah contract. Take note, we have shurut and nikah and we have shurut fi nikah. Shurut and nikah, the conditions of marriage. We require such and such, we require wali, we require this, we require all of those ingredients. That was put by the Sharia, by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and mentioned to us by the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the numerous ahadith, etc. That's from the point of the Sharia. What we are talking about, inshallah, are those conditions which could be included by the husband in the nikah, or could be included by the wife into the nikah. Shurut fin nikah, conditions which are put into and stipulated and added on to the nikah contract. We also state that the basic rule with regards to these conditions, added conditions, is that they are allowed until proven otherwise. They are allowed until proven otherwise. Allah states in the Noble Quran, وَأَوْفُوا بِالْعُقُودِ, and meet and fulfill your promises and your responsibilities. The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam states, الْمُسْلِمُونَ عَلَى شُرُوطِهِمْ, the Muslims are bound by their conditions. And it's the munafiq who agrees and says something and then he goes against it. So the author begins, إذا اشترطت المرأة دارها أو بلدها أو أن لا يتزوج عليها أو أن لا يتسرى فلها شرطها وإن لم يفي به فلها فسخ النكاح لقول رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إن أحق الشروط أن توفوا بها ما استحللتم به الفروج. The author states, if a female stipulates her home or her town, meaning she stipulates that I want to stay in this house here, I want a separate house for myself, or I will get married to you but do not take me out of this village, I will get married to you, do not take me out of this town, or that the husband will not remarry upon her, or that the husband will not take any female slaves, Jayyid, then she is entitled to the stipulation, she is allowed to make the stipulation. And if he does not fulfill it for her, what's the benefit of this condition? If he does not live up to this promise, to this condition, then the marriage will be annulled because of the saying of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, of all stipulations, conditions, the most deserving of your fulfillment are those by which you make the private parts of women lawful for you. We also mentioned the hadith, al-Muslimuna ala shurutihim, Muslims are bound by their conditions. We also find the qissa of Umar radiallahu ta'ala mentioned in the Musannaf of Ibn Abi Shayba, that an individual had come to Umar and he stated that I got married to this female, she put a condition that I'm not allowed to take her out of her city, if I want to go and live somewhere else, I'm traveling, I will have to leave her here, etc. and I'm not allowed to take her out. So Umar radiallahu ta'ala said in this matter, the man says, I want to travel, I want her to come with me. Umar says, no, that you are bound upon, you are bound by the condition which you had placed in the nikah at that time. Jayyid. If you have to go and you want to, and she does not want to come, then she has the option of separation from you because you're not fulfilling this condition. Take note, the matter of then the nikah will be annulled. It will not be annulled automatically, but rather she has the right to go to the court, plead her case before the qadi, and then the qadi will annul this marriage. But if she did not put this condition, these stipulations, then she would not have that leverage and she would not have that upper hand in that matter. Also take note that awsa'ul madahib, the widest and the most flexible madhab with regards to the matters of conditions in nikah is the Hanbali madhab. And we can divide conditions into two categories: valid conditions and invalid conditions, sahih conditions and fasid conditions. The definition, according to the correct opinion with regards to what is a valid condition, then it is a condition, it is a stipulation which is not haram, and it does not lead to haram, and it does not go against the aim and the objective of the Sharia, it does not go against the maqsood of the Sharia, nor does it go against the maqsood, the aim and the objectives of this nikah. So I repeat, a valid condition is that condition which is not haram, nor does it lead to haram. It does not go against the aims and objectives of the Sharia, nor does it go against the aims and the objectives of the nikah. And some valid conditions would be, for example, the female says, I want to remain in my city, I want to continue my studies, I want to work in this job that I have, I want to continue this. I put a condition that you're not allowed to remarry. And many a times the brother asks, is this allowed? Is she not making the halal haram for me? We say, no, she is not making the halal haram for you. But in reality, it's not wajib for you to remarry. It's not fard for you to remarry. All she is doing technically is curtailing your halal. She's putting a boundary on your halal. If it was something which was wajib for you and she was preventing, then it would be an issue and it would be making the halal haram. But in reality, here it is like the doctor who says to you that you cannot drink anything with sugar and you should stay away from sugar. Sugar is halal, but it's for the benefit of yourself. And so here she stipulates you're not allowed to remarry. Why? It's for her benefit. And if you abide, you're not bound to abide. You could go and marry any other female if you want to get married to her, and she stipulates this condition and you agree to this, then she would agree to get married to you. And if we then said, well, you know what, after the marriage is done, etc., then you can go ahead and you can marry whomsoever you want. Don't worry, this condition which you agreed with her doesn't really carry any weight. If we said that, then it would mean that this female got married to you without rida, without being pleased in the matter, without her consent, because she only consented based upon this condition. And so this condition is a valid condition. You must live up to this condition. And if you don't, then we got two categories. If you do not live up to this condition due to the fact that you just want to marry again, due to the fact that you just disregard that condition and you don't really give it its weight, then you will be sinful for that matter, and she has the right of going to the qadi and seeking an annulment. If, for example, later on in life, there is a valid reason for you to remarry, then you are allowed to remarry and you will not be sinful. Although you made this condition, you will not be sinful because you have a valid reason, but still it gives her the option of separating from you. She goes to the qadi and she has the option of separation. Unlike the situation where she did not put any condition, then if you remarried, there's no leverage in her hand. But in reality, if she put the condition, then many a times the brother, he might pull his hairs and think and twice and thrice, should I remarry, should I not remarry, my first wife would leave me, etc. So it gives her some sort of leverage in her hands. Also, the female could put a condition that I want separate accommodation, I want a servant, etc., etc. So these are examples of valid conditions. He must live up to them. If he does not, then it would give her the right of separation. She goes to the qadi and seeks a fasakh. Fasakh is annulment. Then on the other side, we have fasid conditions, and then the definition of fasid conditions would be that which is a haram condition, or it leads to haram, it goes against the aims and the objectives of the Sharia, it goes against the maqsood of nikah, so this would be invalid. It would be fasid. And then within fasid, you got two categories. Fasid where it is fasid in itself, and it is so haram and so wrong that it makes the entire contract, nikah contract, batil. There is no nikah after this. And then you have the other category where it is fasid, but it's not on such a level that it makes the entire nikah invalid, but rather it is invalid and that condition is invalid. The husband does not have to abide by that condition, or the wife does not have to abide by that condition. Let us give and take some examples of both. Where we have a condition which is so haram that it makes the entire nikah haram, like for example mut'ah. Put a condition that we only married for 3 days. Put a condition we only married for 2 weeks. So this is on that level of haram that it breaks the entire nikah. There is no nikah. And as for a condition where only the condition would be invalid but the nikah would still be sahih, it would be like, for example, the husband stipulates that I'm not going to give you any mahar. Or for example, that she stipulates, I want you to divorce your first wife. They get married, their nikah is valid. Does he have to divorce his first wife? No, because it was a haram condition and the condition is invalid. He stipulates that there's no mahar for you. They get married. Is the nikah valid? Yes, it is valid. Does she have to, or is she entitled to mahar? Yes, she is entitled to mahar. And now they can sit together and they can agree upon the amount for the mahar.